Hi guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Celia and I am a Nigerian YouTuber residing in Ontario, Canada. If you are just stumbling on my channel for the first time, I say welcome, and then do not forget to please check out my other videos. My content spans from daily vlogs, lifestyle, and of course DIY immigration. Sometimes, I just talk about other immigration going on around the world as well. So if my content is your kind of content, please stick around and join the growing family. Thank you. So today's topic, I'm just going to be making a kind of like a comparison between, is it worth it coming to Canada as this PR, that's a permanent resident, or as an international student? I'm going to be looking at the policies, I'm going to be looking at the benefits, I'm going to be looking at the cost, I'm going to be looking at the time frame. I'm just going to be looking at the things that you can weigh side by side to be able to make an informed decision. So let's get right into it. So coming to Canada as a student or as a permanent resident, both has its own benefits. I would want to consider the one in terms of which one would you rather go for, this or that? Which one would you think is worthy of waiting for? Or do you think, I just want to go as an international student, I can work my way up? So the first thing that I am going to be discussing on the list of my comparison list is the fact that being an international student is not an automatic right to permanent residence. So if you're an international student, what you have is a temporary resident visa, so which can be issued for just 1 year. To be subsequently renewed or extended as per requirement or as per extension conditions. That's for international students. It is temporary. While permanent residence, on the other hand, from the word, is permanent. You have the right to reside in Canada permanently. You have the right to mobility. You can live anywhere in Canada except, of course, you're doing PMP. But if you're coming in on some other pathways or programs, you are free to reside in anywhere. You're free to reside anywhere in Canada. That's number one thing. Number two thing that I will be talking about is the fact that as an international student, when you pay your school fees, when you pay your fees are is so expensive because you're an international student willing to come to Canada to school in Canada. So if an international student is paying 16,000 Canadian dollars, a PR, that is a Canadian PR, permanent resident holder, would be paying as low as $3,000 or as low as $6,000. So that's how low the difference gets, depending on the cost. The third thing under this one is the fact that as a student, you're only restricted to work for 20 hours generally. I'm not talking about the policies that are coming up in terms of the fact that students can now work full-time until when the minister comes up again to say something else. But generally, you are only capped at 20 hours. But as a permanent resident holder, you can come into the country, you search for job, you look for job, you do not have any restrictions as to when, where, or how long you can work. There's no cap to that. So the next thing I'm going to be moving on is time frame. So if you're coming to Canada as an international student, you can get your visa if all goes well, considering the processing time that we have on IRCC's website. Within 6 to 7 weeks, you can get your visa. But if you're coming as a permanent resident, it's not easy. It's a long-term thing, and I am talking 1 year, I am talking 2 years. So, and that's including the calculation of, the beginning, evaluating, IELTS, waiting for your results, getting to the pool, getting picked. I am talking 1 year, 2 years. But if you've scaled through the hurdles of getting into the pool, being able to be picked from the pool, if you've scaled through that hurdle, then you do not need up to 1 year or 2 years. All you just need is at least 6 months to 7 months, which is what is actually obtainable on the processing time right now. So if you're coming in as a permanent resident from outside Canada, your permanent resident application can take up to 6 months, 7 months if you are done. So I would say that in terms of longevity, the PR takes a long time for it to be achievable, while your study permit comes out in a month, depending on how, you know, the approval goes, whether it is approved or whether it is refused. It comes out within 6 to 7 weeks. The next one I'm going to be talking about is cost. And if you are tentatively, if you are coming to Canada now to study in Canada now, you must have at least 40,000 Canadian dollars in your bank account, depending on the school. 40,000 Canadian dollars is a lot of money. But if you think that you do not want to wait it out for a long time and you have the 40,000 Canadian dollars, then study it is. But if you're coming as a permanent resident, you are not going to be spending up to that, depending on the size of your family. And I'm going to put up here the sizes of family, what the size of family price is. So if you're a single person, I think it's about 13,000 Canadian dollars. If you're a family of 2, maybe it's 15. I'm not sure, but like I said, I'm going to put it up here. So from here, you would be able to do your math, and application fee is about 1,300 and something Canadian dollars. You see that if you're a single person, you will probably be spending maybe like 15,000 to 16,000 Canadian dollars tops if you're willing to wait it out. As opposed to you coming to Canada to study as a single applicant, you have to have at least 40,000 Canadian dollars in your account, which is crazy. Oh, wow. I would rather come as a PR. Thank you. And which brings me to the next difference. The next difference that I would be talking about is eligibility. If you're coming in as a student, everyone is eligible as long as you meet up to the conditions. You get your LOA, which is the letter of acceptance. You prove that you are able to fulfill the conditions in your letter of acceptance. And upon fulfilling the conditions in your letter of acceptance, you prove your funds, you fill your application forms. Welcome to Canada. So you are almost everyone is eligible as long as you are able to prove the conditions, which brings it to the fact that if you have a degree, maybe like a WAEC degree, like a secondary school, high school degree, you should be able to do a diploma course or a higher diploma course if you come to Canada. But on the other hand, eligibility for PR is highly competitive. It is extremely hard to meet up to that. It's just so hard. So, and which is why a lot of people, I think, fall back to coming here to study. But on the other hand, with eligibility for PR, if you're doing PMP, you have to know what the conditions for PMP are. If you're doing normal express entry, you have to know what the conditions for normal express entry is. So with the eligibility under the PR, it is highly competitive, it is highly hard to meet up, and the bar is really high. And then it brings me to the other one, which is pathway to citizenship. It's so crazy because a lot of people migrate because, you know what, I want to give my children dual citizenship. I want to relocate, not because of myself, but because I want a good life for my children. We have people from China coming here to get a dual citizenship. We have people coming from United Kingdom to get a dual citizenship, which is actually fine, like absolutely fine. So as long as you're willing to, whatever you're willing to do, you want to do that. So if you're coming in as a student, and your pathway to citizenship goes like this: if you do a 1-year course, you get a 1-year work permit. If you don't get into the pool, you go back home. Or if you do a 2-year course, you get a 3 years work permit. Within that 3 years, you must figure things out to get into the pool to get your PR, which is, if you don't do that, you get back home. So that is 5 years pathway. Or you get into Canada, you do your course, you're able to get a work permit, And eventually, after getting a work permit, you get a PR. And don't forget that just because you have your PR doesn't mean that it's automatically citizenship. So everything in total would be bringing you towards 7 years for your pathway if you do not get into the pool. And the reason why I say to take you 6 to 7 years is because upon completion of your 3 years, let's say you do a 2 years study, upon completion of your 2 years, you do another 3 years work permit, and you're not able to quickly get into the pool, or you're not able to quickly get yourself a PR pathway, another PR pathway, and you finish up your 3 years work permit before you get into the pool. So that's 5 years gone. Upon attaining PR, you have another 3 years to wait it out. So that is 5, 6, 7 years. Then after attaining 3 years from your PR, you can then calculate your what's it called? You can then calculate your days of physical presence in Canada, and then you can apply for your citizenship. But as a PR, you do not do that, because you have to at least use 1,095 days out of 5 years in Canada. So if you are a PR and you are meant to be here for 5 years, or you want to be here for 5 years, but you're a type of person that you have a family out of Canada that you go from time to time to visit, you must make sure that within the 5 years that is acceptable, you must use at least 3 years, which is 1,095 days. So your give or take, in the general principle, it is 3 years. But if you are the type that travels a lot, you can top it up to 4 years and some months. But the principle is that after you finish your 3 years, that's your 1,095 days, it is straight to PR. It's straight to citizenship, sorry. So, and I'm going to talk about 2 last things, which is integration into the society. For students, fine, they are able to go to school, they are able to also integrate within their community. But the issue is the fact that because of the short-term principle that the study visa is, or the short-term the temporariness of a study visa, they are not able to actually do much more in terms of integration into the society, except of course they have a major plan. And I have several videos where I have talked about what your plan is, essential tips from study to PR. I would say, I'll put the link up here, and I would say that you give that a watch and see what I am talking about exactly as it relates to maintaining your status and all of that. But as a PR, it's very easy for you to, remain in the society, get to know what the Canadian life is all about, because there's no rush, there's no temporariness, it's all permanency. So that, I think that as a PR, you are more better integrated into the society. I guess a lot of people will want to disagree with me to the fact that yes, as students, you are also doing quite a lot of things. There's the diversity because you are meeting quite a lot of people from the, from uni, from various walks of life, but that's actually not integrating into the Canadian society. And the final one that I would just like to talk about is the fact that when you're making a decision, do not make a decision out of the fact that, oh, I want the fast action. I want the faster action. If you are not in a rush to relocate to Canada, get into the pool. Just do something and then move on with your life. But if you think that coming here to study is also, don't get me wrong, it also adds to whatever it is in the long run in terms of you getting into the pool. You can use your points from coming to school here to Canada. You can add that up to give you more points. But the truth of the matter is the fact that if you do not have any reason to rush, there's no point coming in here to spend 40,000 Canadian dollars as opposed to you just waiting it out if you're a single person to spend 15,000 Canadian dollars. It's the ROI, it's so different. What you make with the extra money from that $40,000 will do you so well in the long run, in settling, accommodation, at least for the first 6 months if you're coming as a PR. So if you ask me, what would I rather choose? So if you ask me what would I rather choose, of course you know my answer. That it is very obvious that I'm gonna go with the one that has more benefit. And like I said, of course I've kind of like removed, or in case I didn't touch about some things, you can pop up into the comment section and just, you know, also give me what you think about in terms of if I want to come to Canada, what would I propose? Is it going to be international student coming here to pay an FT amount, or is it going to be waiting it out in Nigeria or wherever you're coming from, then eventually coming into Canada as a permanent resident? Of course, we're not going to talk about the benefits of you know, all other things that is talking about the fact that you are almost like a citizen, except for the fact that you don't have a passport and you cannot vote. All other things basically just stand. So that brings me to the end of this video. I hope that you've been able to learn a thing or two to make an informed decision as to what you would rather come to Canada as opposed to you just coming into Canada as an international student. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, like and give a comment, and I'll see you guys back in my next video. Bye.